Falcons. Let's go around the horn.
Hey.
Hello.
Short.
Hey, ball.
Oh! That was a flop.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
Falcons 24, Buccaneers 21. Check out the NFC South right now. Woo! With 2 weeks to play, both New Orleans and Atlanta control their own destiny. Carolina controls their own hat choice. Woody Page, we'll start with you. After last night, you believe in the Falcons more or less in the division, in the conference, in the universe? Go ahead, floor's yours.
Same as I did before last night. I assumed they were going to win that game against Tampa, which has really struggled most of the season. So the division is going to play itself out, as you know, because they're playing round robin at the end of the year. I don't think the Falcons can go to New Orleans and win in the Superdome. I just don't think that's going to happen, but I think they can beat the Panthers. So how do I look at this? I see the Falcons being a wild card team. I think both of them will come out of that division, but still, give me the Saints. The Falcons, I don't see the same offense they had under Kyle Shanahan. They're not as creative. Julio Jones's numbers are down considerably. The last 3 weeks, he and Ryan have really struggled to connect 31 point.
What do you think that is?
Of the time. Well, I think it's Shanahan, I think, put his players in better position. It seems like they're doing a better job of guard. He's dropped 7 passes this year, which is tied for second in the league. His numbers are down in terms of receptions. I don't think Ryan and Jones, so I don't see them winning the division. I do see them slipping in as wild card.
How about you, KB?
Well, I'm kind of with Woody on that. I mean, I believe they have kept themselves in position to get into the playoffs, but they have a tough end of the season in this round-robin tournament with the Panthers to end it up and going up against the Saints. They don't have as good an offense as those two teams. They don't have as good a defense as those two teams, particularly when you look at turnovers. They have a hard time really generating anything in terms of turnovers. And I just think right now, unlike Woody, that the Panthers are really the hot team right now. They're putting up points. Cam Newton looks like he's the old Cam Newton, which is a young Cam Newton. They've got the running game going. They've got a defense that's really good.
So he's looking like the old Cam Newton, who was the young Cam Newton.
That's exactly right. See what I'm doing there?
And he's calling out the defensive call-outs of his own plays, which is nice to see. Let's bring in Ramona Shelburne. What did you see from the Falcons last night?
Well, they beat the team they were supposed to beat, right? I mean, they're exactly where they were last year at this time with a 9-5 record. And the difference is they don't have the offense going at all, and they're still winning games, which I think you look at and say, all right, if they're going to be this is the defending NFC champion, if they're going to get back in, then they'll have to prove it in these next 2 weeks. That's exactly where you would want to be, where you control your own destiny. They do have the running game going, which I think is a positive sign because it really starts with Devontae Freeman and get it going. But Matt Ryan and Julio Jones do not have anything going, any chemistry going right now, and if they can't get that working, I don't see them doing much.
And Bill Plaschke.
So funny. Everybody seems to be waiting for last year's Falcons to show up, the great Super Bowl team to show up. Guess what? Newsflash. It's not showing up. This is a one-and-done team. This is a team that could not get over the Super Bowl hangover. Look at Matt Ryan. His passer rating, 25 points less than last year. His yards per game passing, the worst in the last 8 years. And you talk about Kyle Shanahan. This is on Matt Ryan, if you ask me. He's not the same quarterback. He's just not hitting his spots. And this offense is not working. And when it is working, when Devontae Freeman gets the ball, he's fumbled 3 times in the last 2 games. This is a team that has not been in sync all year. They barely won last night. If they're going to make the playoffs, I think it's a wild card. They're going to probably come out to L.A. and they'll be one and done. This is a one and done team, if at all.
Plaschke's already calling it over. What a shock from the man in L.A. Paige, you want to add one last thing after Horn?
Yeah, Kevin, I agree with you. I think the Panthers are the best team in that division, but they're not going to win the division because of the situation with the schedule at the end of the year. But if all 3 of them get in there, you'd think that one of them is going to advance to the conference championship game. I think it's a real possibility. Atlanta's got to pull it back together, though. Bill's absolutely right. They're just not the team they were a year ago. And I think it's the difference is Shanahan's not there. A totally different offensive coordinator.
Okay, this is stunning for a team that's won 5 of 6. For a team that has the same exact record they had last year, and that team made the Super Bowl. All right, I'm glad to hear you guys are passing your own eye test. We'll move on. We retired 2 LA jerseys yesterday. We got 2 LA panelists today. Let's go Kobe jerseys night. Magic Johnson.
We're here to celebrate the greatest who's ever wore the purple and gold.
The greatest Laker ever. Anybody willing to go there? Flashkey, I know you want in on that. The greatest Laker conversation, the greatest all-time player conversation, whether he's in the top 10 or not. We can have that combo. Also, the farewell jersey retirement for a guy we just said farewell to about a year ago. Flashkey, Shelburne, you were there. Go ahead, Momo. First to you.
Well, look, I mean, I just enjoy the spectacle, and this is what we do in L.A., okay? So they put on a good show. And how many times are you going to see Bill Russell sitting next to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at a game? How many times you can see Allen Iverson with his camera out taking video of the ceremony? I mean, it was just great theater for everybody with the two jerseys coming down and Jeannie Buss tearing up. I mean, I was at the pre-game party. DJ Shaq Diesel or whatever he calls himself was playing, and Jeannie Buss was raising the roof. I mean, it doesn't happen.
So it
like
was a
this very often.
scene. I'll give you that. Can you throw your answer into this forum here that Magic Johnson invited you all to? The greatest Laker of all time, Kobe Bryant?
Look, if you're under 30, you're going to say Kobe. If you're over 30, you're going to say Magic, okay? This is generational. It's a recency effect. I think Magic got caught up in the moment. Like, this is, he's a generous guy. That was just an assist that he took.
How about you, Flashkey?
Magic was just being nice. There's no question. I think all generations, Ramona, would say Magic is the greatest all-time Laker. And a lot of people think Kareem is the second greatest all-time Laker. So, no, Kobe doesn't rank up there. But I think it's so cool how this is what happens when you play 20 years, your entire career in one town, and you create a championship culture. You had outside Staples Center, there was something called Kobe Land. They had like an amusement park, a makeshift amusement park with a rickety Ferris wheel with Kobe's 8 and 24 on it, filled with people who will never go into the game. People didn't have tickets. And inside, all the stars of Hollywood were there. Kobe brought the whole town together, and you don't ever see that much in sports anymore.
Woody Page?
Very cool night.
Guys, I would just like to start out with, stop putting statues out in front of the Staples Center. You can't get into the arena trying to come down the street. Now you got amusement parks out there. I don't know what that's all about. You say generational, Ramona. Well, if you're over 70, George Mikan is your best Laker of all time. If you're over 60, it's Kareem. If you're over 50, it's Magic. And if you're over 40, it's everybody that we talked about. Jerry West has to come into the conversation, but Magic is the best. He was being humble. Kareem is number 2. Kobe is number 3. That's the way it ranks. And I think he's had an incredible career. And what was odd is that he had the same number of points almost exactly with wearing both numbers. And I thought it was a grand night, but let's move on for the Lakers.
Let's move on to KB now.
And it's great because 8 and 24, the two jerseys that I've pointed out before, adds up to 32, which is Magic Johnson's number, and Magic Johnson is the greatest Laker of all time. Now, why is Magic greater than Kobe? It is because if you think about jazz music, the people that separate themselves from everyone else are those who are the innovators, those who leave a cultural mark on their art. And Showtime with Magic at his height, doing all the things that he did on the basketball court, changed the way we think about basketball and changed the way we thought about the Lakers in the early 90s and the late 80s. So it's definitely got to be Magic. But you know what? Kobe's right in the conversation with those five rings, the MVP, the couple of finals MVPs.
You notice when Blackstone brought up jazz, his hand was just like this, and he was already in that jazz space. He was there for you. Bill, I got to ask you this. Watching it last night reminded me of an exchange you had with him once after a game. You know the one I'm talking about. You called him something that rhymes with glass ball. And it was playful. Everybody laughed. It was also kind of true, because as a player, Kobe had some unpalatable characteristics, like all of us do as humans and teammates. So what I want to ask you, are you sensing a change in Kobe, the citizen, the retiree?
Well, it depends. See, Kobe entered the arena pushing a stroller with his young daughter in it. So he's very much a dad now. But then when we ask him if he had any regrets about retiring or he felt any anger or depression, he's like, bleep that. So I think Kobe's every bit as competitive in his field, in his entrepreneurship as he ever was in basketball. That much hasn't changed.
Same question for you, Ramona.
Yeah, I think he's changed, but I think that's been changing for the last 5 years, even before he retired. I think once his body started giving out with his Achilles, he very quickly moved on into the next phase of his life. And I remember talking to him the morning after his final game when he dropped 60. Remember, on 50 shots? We have to say that every time. He scored 60 on 50 shots. And I said, what'd you do today? He said, I got up, I went to church, I worked out, and I went to the office. Like, he didn't even sleep in, okay? Like, he was on to the next phase of his life. And, you know, I'll say this, like, you know, we talk about this changing of the guard. There's nobody in the building who was on the court, okay, playing in that game who should be in the same sentence or breath as Kobe Bryant, except for maybe Kevin Durant. I think he's probably the only guy in that building who can walk up to Kobe and say, okay, maybe one day I can be like you. The Lakers don't have anybody at that stage yet, but it was kind of nice to have him have that moment. But I gotta say this: second time in a row when he addressed the crowd at the end, he did the Mamba out and the mic drop. You only get that once. You can't do it twice.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the game of the night. How the Pacers lost to the Celtics. Oh, don't do it, Bogdanovich. Oh. This ruined another Oladipo takeover for Indy. He's got to be starting the All-Star game by now. And an incredible finish in what's been an incredible season for the Celtics. Bill, how should we feel watching the end of that game?
I know everybody's going to make fun of the Bogdanovich pass. Everybody's laughing at it. The Celtics earned that. Kyrie Irving, remember, had 2 3-pointers down the stretch.
Yeah.
They moved into Brad Stevens moved Shane Larkin in to guard Bogdanovich on the inbounds play. The Celtics played smart, prepared basketball. The Celtics stole that.
So that's a Celtics win, not a Pacers
absolutely
loss,
absolutely.
I guess is how you would say that. What do you agree with that? Do the Pacers blow this or the Celtics win it?
The Pacers were doing exactly what they wanted to do. They had one bad pass, but you got to give Rozier really great credit. I mean, he took it over and was able to pull off exactly what happened, the dunking, which is a rarity for him. The Celtics, when you consider that 379 teams had been behind by 5 or more this season in the NBA, and that was the first one to come back and win. So you got to give him all the credit in the world. So, yeah, I think the Celtics.
This was all about Kyrie Irving again. Let's not ignore him. This man is fantastic. The 2 threes.
Anybody ignoring Kyrie Irving?
8 point. No, but I'm just saying, we're just talking about the team. But this team is about Kyrie Irving. Look at what he did right there. The 2 3, another 2 point, like 8 points in the last minute and a half. He's done that before this year. He has changed the culture of that team.
Okay, but nobody's ignoring Kyrie Irving. His name has gone around the world 3 times, if it could go around the world. The world is flat, according to Kyrie, so it doesn't go around the world. Last one, Ramona Shelford.
Look, I mean, it was Kobe Bryant's night. Like, Kyrie's a Kobe disciple. That's what he did at the end of the game. That was Mamba-esque.
There you go.
Take a look at those scores. Page 14, Plasky 12, Blackstone 13.
I'm gonna be like, you know, make amends right away, because otherwise this thing really could get out of hand, because it was such a dirty hit, and he only got a 1-game suspension. Everybody's upset about it still.
Bill Plasky.
Gronk's not going anywhere near him before the game, Ramona. There's no way Belichick would allow that. I can't imagine that. I don't think they got to worry, though. I think Buffalo's still playing for a playoff spot. They realized that they would only hurt themselves, that Gronk would win twice if they let this get to them. I don't think anything's going to happen.
Woody?
I totally disagree, Bill. There are a lot of things you can do within the framework, as Tom Brady said, of playing in the game. You can be giving him the business, as we've heard in the NFL. I mean, you could twist it a little bit behind his back. I just think that they're going to retaliate and hit him as hard as they possibly can throughout the game. And you got to disrupt him, because we saw what he did on Monday night.
KB.
Well, they may want to disrupt him because he is unstoppable, as you saw Monday night. But you know what? You don't want to go in. You don't want to go into this with any ill will. You're still trying to hold on to a playoff game. You don't want to get tossed out of a game. I don't like retaliation in baseball. I don't like it in football. I don't like it in any sport.
Well, I'm sure you won't like this retaliation. It wasn't a Monday night game for the Patriots. It was Sunday. We'll give them you. We'll move on. Buy or sell two. Texans could be heading towards a split with Bill O'Brien. That's Jason La Canfora. In a year, you lose J.J. Watt and you lose Deshaun Watson, Bill. What should Bill O'Brien's status be in Houston?
I think it should be solid, to be honest with you, because he's won 2 division championships before all these injuries, and Deshaun Watson came out and said he wanted this guy as his coach. And this guy, Deshaun Watson, is the future of the entire team. I think he stays.
Woody Page?
Bill's right. He's had a good relationship with Watson. He hadn't had that kind of a relationship with previous quarterbacks except for Brady. And he has won those divisions. And when you're missing your heart, which is Watson, and your soul, which is Watts, I mean, really, you can't get rid of him based on having the 2 leaders on your team out.
KB?
Well, let's not make him into Lombardi here. I mean, I'll give him a mulligan for this year. He lost 3 players, but coming into this year, first of all, he didn't start Deshaun Watson begin, so he wasn't. That wasn't a great start. And his last 3 years, getting into the playoffs, he was 9-7 3 times.
Yeah, in that division too. It's a great point, KB. Everyone wants to give him credit for Deshaun Watson. The first game of the season, he's like, you know what? I'll start Tom Savage. Go ahead, Ramona.
Look, I mean, you can fire anybody if they don't get along with their boss, and if he and Rick Smith are if they're not on the same page right now, which is what Jason's article was saying. I mean, I think if they're not working together in the right place, and you've got a potentially franchise-altering quarterback that's just getting started, you need to be going in the same direction. So if those two guys aren't getting along, I can see it.
Fire still 3. Lane Kiffin and Florida Atlantic, a 10-year extension. Kind of want to play PTI odds makers here. Odds that he lasts for 10 years at Florida Atlantic. But Woody, makes sense to you?
I give the over/under 1. No. Yeah, I think they would like to keep him for 10 years.
It's a different PTI game, but sure.
I think a year from now, he'll be somewhere else. A bigger name of a Florida university or a bigger name in the SEC. There's no way they're going to be. I mean, they could throw as much money and power as they want to at him, but you know as well as I do, he's going to be back in a Power 5 conference pretty soon.
KB?
I just know one thing. They better make that buyout for that first year really, really big so they can make a profit off of this guy when he leaves. That's all I know.
Buyout is the biggest word in all of college football. Listening. Go ahead, Ramona.
Look, they're doing what they got to do. They got to lock him up and give the recruits some security, like your guy's not going to leave right away. But we all know what this game is.
So what's your odds maker right there? Chances he makes it 10 years?
I'll give him 3 years. I'll give him with under 3 years is the best.
I'm not sure you guys know how odds makers play. Go ahead, Bill Plaschke.
10 years. I don't give him 10 minutes. I'm stunned. But I think I know what happened. He went to them and said, "Give me this 10-year deal because it's the height of recruiting season. Guys are starting to sign now. I'll take care of it. But I'm sure the buyout's big. I give him another year there tops another year if that."
Like I said, over/under 1.
Speaking of buyouts, Ramona Shelburne, Bill Plaschke. This is, I think, your last show of the holiday season. Ramona, happy Hanukkah.
Hey.
Bill Plaschke, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
We'll see you guys in 2018. Woody Page, Kevin Blackstone.
Retaliation.
Woody Page, Kevin Blackstone. It's a quote game. You ready? I'm good with that if we win. I'm cool with that, man. Look on the screen. It's Carmelo on that tab on the bottom. He scored 4 points last night. Paul George had 8 points. Russ had 38. OKC beat Denver by 1. Woody, these are your Nuggets. You cool that Melo's cool?
Oh, I don't think he's cool at all with it. The guy is a 25-point average scorer. And throughout his career, I've been around him. The guy wants to score 30 points every game. I've said to you, he needs to come off the bench.
You got that wrong, Tony. I think he said, "I'm cold with that, man." 37% shooting in December, 5 of 18 the other night. That's what he was saying. He's not cool with that. Of course not.
What's cooler than being cool? Ice cold, Blackstone. Here's your point. Showdown 2, NBA All-Star Draft, which they're trying out for the first time this year. And NBA players are picking and, more importantly, snubbing other NBA players. And now we're hearing this may or may not be televised.
Oh,
KB, may not be televised?
It's going to be. This revolution will be televised. The NBA televises everything. They've got the series about the 3 Asian guys trying to get into the NBA. They will televise any and everything.
Kevin,
don't believe it.
Why don't they take a new trend? Let's not televise it. Let's keep it in a secret. And when you show up for the game, you go, wow, look at those 2 teams. It'll increase the ratings for the game. So I don't want to see it. You don't want to see it.
You've said a lot of wrong things in today's show. That's the most wrong thing you've said today, Woody Page. This has got to be televised. Why are we doing it if we're not televising it? Showdown 3. Chicago Bulls have won 6 straight since Mirotic came back. He's averaging 20-7. Portis is averaging 13-7. There have been 0 punches, 0 broken faces since the last time. Coincidence or something more, Woody?
Well, I think it's something more, that it's amazing that he came back and that he and Portis have kind of worked this out. We thought Portis was going to be traded to a European team, and now they're playing well together.
Yeah, you got to like this, that they've let bygones be bygones. But you know what? The Chicago Bulls are accustomed to this. This is what happened between Jordan and Kerr. How did that work out? Championships.
It's like a nuclear facility, days without a broken face. They're at like 24. Congratulations. Point gave FaceTime Kevin Blackenstein.
Woohoo! Nothing makes me happier during the holiday season than to be in what we call the college football bowl season. Have you checked your schedule lately? Do you realize tonight we will play the 7th game of the college football bowl season? The game that we always know about, the Cheribundi Cherry Tart Bowl game between Akron and Lane Kiffin's team down in Florida. And guess where it's at? It's at Boca Raton. Boca Raton. Now, the thing is this is FAU's home stadium. I don't know how they got this thing going, but that's got to be cool. The Cheribundi Tart Cherry Bowl, whatever juice.
It almost sounds like you have no idea what you're talking about.
FAU and the Akron.
We're going to do it, folks. 23 and a half hour break.
I guess.
Happy Hour is